Carver was born into slavery and was one of the many children born to Mary and Giles, an enslaved couple owned by Moses Carver. In Diamond, Missouri, during the Civil War years, which lines his birth date up with the year 1864. The exact year and date of his birth are still unknown.
During the early stages of his life, Carver was interested in nature and was spared from demanding work because of his poor health. He then had ample amounts of time to study plants. His talents flourished to the extent that people started to ask him for help within their ailing vegetation.
The conclusion of the Civil War in 1865 brought the end of slavery in Missouri, which drove Moses Carver and his wife Susan to keep George and his brother James at their home after that time, raising and educating the two boys. Susan Carver taught George to read and write since no local school would accept black students at the time.
As a young man, he left the Carver home to travel to a school for black children 10 miles away. It was at this point that the boy, who had always identified himself as Carver's George, first came to be known as George Carver. Carver attended a series of schools before receiving his diploma at Minneapolis High School in Minneapolis, Kansas. While interested in science, Carver was also interested in the arts. In 1890, he began studying art and music at Simpson College in Iowa, developing his painting and drawing skills through sketches of botanical samples. His obvious aptitude for drawing the natural world prompted a teacher to suggest that Carver enroll in the botany program at the Iowa State Agricultural College. Carver moved to Ames and began his botanical studies the following year as the first black student at Iowa State and excelled in his studies.
Upon completion of his Bachelor's of Science degree, Carver's professors Joseph Budd and Louise Pamel persuaded him to stay on for a master's degree. His graduate studies included intensive work in plant pathology at Iowa Experiment Station. In these years, Carver established his reputation as a brilliant botanist and began the work that he would pursue for the remainder of his career. After graduating from Iowa State, Carver embarked on a career of teaching and research at the Tuskegee Institute, where he was invited by Booker T. Washington.
During his time at the Tuskegee Institute, he spent most of his time doing research with botanical studies. He is mostly known for his contributions to science through his experimentation with peanuts, sweet potatoes, and soybeans. He later discovered flour, paste, paper, wallboard, shaving cream, skin lotion, and more.
George Washington Carver, one of the greatest black scientists, died January 5, 1943.
George Washington Carver was a prominent African American scientist and inventor, but is best known for the many uses he devised for the peanut. Later on to become a botanist and one of the most prominent black scientists and inventors of his time and all time. George Washington Carver was the first African American to have a national park named after him. You can visit the park and his monument in Missouri. Thank you for your time.